Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Knitmancy podcast. I am your host, Valentina. You can find me on Ravelry as Knittermancer and on Instagram as Middle of the Madness, as well as this podcast in the groups tab at Ravelry as the Knitmancy podcast, or just Knitmancy podcast. Welcome back to all returning viewers, and hello to anyone who's just popping in for the first time. I already introduce myself for y'all, and I'd actually like to say that this is a podcast dedicated to all of my crafty, fibery, that's what we're going with, adventures. And so this week's episode, I actually have a whole bunch of FOs to talk about. Yes, feels good, right? All right, so we'll kick it off with that, and then we'll move on to works in progress, which I have a couple of, and then I'll see if I have any chit-chatty stuff. I'm not thinking I have a whole lot of that, but if I do, we'll get there. We'll find something. All right. So moving into the actual good stuff. So we have a couple of knitting FOs. So first one is, it's done. It's done. So, Find Your Fave by Andrea Mowry, and I'll go through all of the colors and I'll try to hold it up because this thing is massive. It's excellent. Okay, so we have Neighborhood Fiber Company Studio Sock in Del Rey, which is beautiful golden yellow color. Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles in Bee's Knees, which is a beautiful white with yellow and black, and I think there's some brown and a little bit of pink speckling. I have a natural colored Cotswold from Ross Family Farm, which is up in Pennsylvania. Got this at Maryland Sheep and Wool from a lovely dude named Rory. I have the yarn label behind me. Then we have Once Upon a Corgi on the Audrey base. It is La Dame Blanche, still my favorite color section. Dancing Leaf Farm Sock Hop in French Garden Party. Almost there. Then I have Cascade Heritage Silk Paints in Forest. And then my last section is a Crystal Palace Yarns Mini Mochi in Yosemite. They normally just give them numbers, but you always know if you can go on their websites, you can always find the color names. Which is excellent. So I've actually been wearing this quite a bit. See, right side, wrong side. Okay. It's huge. Even if I stood up, I wouldn't have enough room back there to properly hold it up. So let me kind of just jumble it up like this. All the colors. And I finished that actually Monday I blocked it. And then I laid down next to it, and I'm 5'4", and it was nearly double my height. Oh, over double my height. And I know the pattern says it'll block out to be 8 feet and some change. And mine's over 10 feet. Or it was when I blocked it. It might have shrunk back some, but I didn't even block it that harshly. So it's done. I've been wearing it quite a bit. I love it, even though it's 80 degrees. It's been a little chillier in the 70s, high 60s, 70s up here in Northern Virginia. It's great. All right, and number 2, which we've not seen since the first episode, is my Mara shawl. Yeah. And this pattern is by Madelinetosh. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I knitted in Knit Picks Swish DK. This pattern does call for a DK weight yarn. Fold it in a triangle like this, makes it a little easier to see both me and the shawl. I haven't woven the ends yet. It's not gone a block, but I finished it Tuesday. Tuesday sounds about right. And yeah, Knit Pick Swish DK. I dyed this, so it's not a colorway you can buy. I used Easter egg dyes. It's rainbowy. Bind off is my favorite because then you can see all of the colors in order as they should be. The only complaint I have about the egg dyes is the purple didn't come out super purple, it came out more of a blue. But other than that, it's big, it's squishy, it's rainbow, it's excellent. I joke that it's perfect for this month. Alright, and we still have 2 more things, which is great. I have a hat, and we've not seen this on the podcast because I started it Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever I finished the Mowry shawl. As I said, I think it was Wednesday. And I finished it early yesterday morning, like 2 o'clock in the morning. This hat is the Spinster Slouch by Valerie Miller. She's French Canadian, French. There was a lot of French on the blog with the pattern. So she speaks French. Her name has an accent in it, so that's why I was trying to say it funny. And I knit this out of 57 chapters, a limited edition yarn that she did called Parchment. Parchment is, this is backwards, excellent. It is a sport weight yarn dyed by nature. That is a combination of white fin, fin cross, merino cross, Perendale wools, and fawn/brown alpaca. And this is actually a yarn, I still have some left over from this hat, that I had picked up at Katsucon this year. And Katsucon's anime convention that I go to every year. I feel like I have a cat hair on my lips. Excellent. And I decided I was going to watch Slow TV. It was the National Knitting Night one, the 8.5-hour one that's up on Netflix, where they go sheep to sweater. It was a great watch, and it encouraged me to do some spinning. So I actually have 2 skeins here that I need to wash, set the twist in, and all that fun stuff. So it's 2 skeins of black Jacob. I have a whole Jacob fleece that I'm working through slowly but surely. Doesn't smell sheepy because I did use Power Scour on it. And yeah, currently it's roughly a fingering weight. I don't know if that'll change when I wash it. We'll see. So now we've gotten through the finished objects. So proud. I've not really cast on anything new, unfortunately. Part of the spinning was I ended up in a slump. What can you do? Where I have yarn, I just don't know what to cast on, and I'm not going to cast on another pair of socks until my first work in progress is mostly done. So let me show you the work in progress. Whoop, whoop. And it's everyone's favorite. Whoop. My Fine and Dandies. And the pattern is by Jessica Gore. I am using R2 by Nerd Girl Yarns on her O-Snap base, or on their O-Snap base, which is a BFL nylon base. Don't remember if I say that. I tend to forget. Those are coming along. Let's see, I think I had like 4 flowers last time, and now I'm actually starting the gusset increases, which I've only done a couple of rows, so it's not super noticeable. I've started doing the gusset increases, so we're close to hitting the leg and getting that all turned out. And then final work in progress, what will be the longest work in progress, is my Brioche Memories. Yes, Brioche Memories blanket. I finished the square. That was not done last time I showed it. I haven't added any new squares because I hate the needles that I'm working with. Sad days. So hopefully I can pick up some new needles and potentially get a couple more squares on, if not finishing this whole empty area. Because the construction of this blanket, and I know I didn't touch on this, is you start with one square. So mine is actually in that Cascade Heritage silk prints because I've used it to knit a pair of quilted lattice mitts. So I used it. It was scrap. Then it went into my my Find Your Fade too. And then you will, depending on which side, and in reality this is like the bottom, but we're going to hold it. You do an I-cord, and then you pick up, and then you do your square, and then you would go over here, you pick up, do your I-cord, do your square, then you pick up both these, do your square. I mean, I love it, and it's one of those patterns that as you go, you're weaving in your ends because you have these lovely I-cord edges. So nothing major about this. I think I didn't mention last time that I showed it as well, but I'm going for 24 by 24, so 24 squares high by 24 squares long, so it will be a perfect square-ish. I already see it like slanting a bit, which I'm not sure if that's just the yarns that I'm using, even though currently it's all fingering weight. I'm thinking of putting some like DK and sport weight scraps in it as well, because the pattern says I can, so I might. Not yet. And have to do some clicking here. Boop. That pattern is by Valerie. No, I've seen this last name and I just can't pronounce it. Nothing on her, and I'm sorry if I butcher it. Ing, I think, is also another way. I'm going to stop pulling my head. It's a lovely blanket. It will be nice and warm and squishy. And as I said, I've not cast on anything new. I did a little bit of spinning on my spindle, but I didn't think it was really worthwhile grabbing it and showing because you really wouldn't have been able to tell. Both of my Jacob's skeins, by the way, are a 2-ply. So I did ply them. I spent the whole day yesterday plying them. So that's all for all the crafty stuff, the knitting stuff. So now I'll move on to my chit chat. So if you are only here to check out the knitting, the craftiness, then thank you for coming. I hope you come hang out again next time. Otherwise, we will talk about like the 2 things that happened this week. I guess. So this week was, aside from me finishing all the things except for the socks and the blanket, which, I mean, I take the socks with me everywhere. I just don't go anywhere very often. But I finally got my set up with a PCP, primary care. You know, I have a doctor now. Put it that way. I have a doctor now, which is great. I had blood run just so they could check up and make sure everything's good. Had a basic checkup. Everything looks good. My blood work came back. I'm fine. I'm not dying. It's great. I'm just a little anxious sometimes. A little freaked out, a little scared. Normal stuff. We all just gotta learn how to deal with our freakouts, right? And then I watched the 8.5-hour Slow TV National Knit Night, and those ladies were so impressive. And I wholly felt them on the, oh, this wool is sticky, or my hands are getting so sticky from spinning it. And actually yesterday, as I said, I spent the whole day spinning. I've got Finnegan here with me. His bobbin is now empty. because I used him to spin my Jacob on. And even though I washed my Jacob, like I've tried spinning without washing it before, and I knew that the sheep it was from was apparently a very, very greasy sheep. So I had lanolin all over my hands, and I power scoured this, and I've still got a whole bunch of it in here to keep spinning because I want to make it into a sweater. And I was still getting my hands covered in lanolin. And I have a pair of Viking combs. That's what I was using to process it. I wasn't spinning from the lock or anything like that this time. And just, yeah, it was hard to get it through the combs. It was, and if I pulled it off the combs, that was a struggle. I actually got myself on my thumb with my combs. By the way, zombie hand is healing up nicely. Yeah, that was fun. I mean, it really was. By the end of the day, my back was killing me just from sitting in the same little stool that I sit on to do this. Just moving around my room. There's still plant matter on my floor because as I was combing it, there's small bits of plant fiber coming, or plant matter coming out. Great. Awesome. Yeah, that happened. It's great. I will have enough yarn to make a sweater. Even if I have to crop it and make it a short sleeve sweater, I will have a sweater made of Jacob. And then today we went and we saw the mummy. Yeah. Maybe it's just me, but like seeing a movie where there's so much CG. There's so much CG, and you can tell there's so much CG. Most of the animals, like hordes of rats or birds, it was all CG. It's like they didn't even have one dummy bird, one dummy rat. No, they just copied and pasted. No, it was all, it's all computer. It's all pretend rats, all pretend birds. I mean, you expect a certain amount of CG from a movie like The Mummy. It's just seeing it everywhere. Like, you're just constantly having these fake animals, but at the same time, you have very kind of realistic settings. And, I mean, that's all I can really say. It just came out, so I can't say much. I think that's all I got. Thinking of taking Yoshi here out of his box. Yoshi here out of his box. He's a little. He's the knit Yoshi amiibo. We'll see. Next time, if he's out of his box, we'll know. All right. Thank you for joining me this week. I hope you join me next week as well. I'm probably gonna get back to work on my fine and dandy socks and watch some Orange is the New Black because that's back. Yeah. All right. As I said, thank you for joining me. I will list down below all of my social medias and as well as any patterns I mention. And if you're on Ravelry viewing this in the group with the embedded, everything down below. On some of my finished objects, I'll actually link you to the project page. Although I don't have the pictures up and I don't have a lot up. I should work on that. But I'll link to the project pages as well as the actual page for the pattern if you are interested in anything. So, that's it. Bye, guys.